My name's Lorna-dannielle Dumba. People call me Law or Lorna. I am head of production, but most importantly in senior leadership in the VFX/XR space. I have been in the industry for coming up to nearly 2 decades, so it's been an incredible ride. And yeah, I found out about InclusionFX and I was very excited to hear more, so I'm here to share my story. The background to my story is kind of interesting and weird. It's a bit like me as an individual. I grew up way outside in the country and was desperate to leave the country and return to the city where I initially used to live. And my kind of trajectory was always around how do I get into a space that's creative. So like a good young person, I followed my parents' dreams and took up a career as an engineer. I did aerospace design with the intention to become a pilot, but a secret hidden sort of passion for creativity and music and arts, and just couldn't figure out how to mend the two together. I worked and studied pretty hard, but had like an enjoyable experience working within the area that I studied, and then happened upon this young guy who I kind of took under my wing and sort of menteed before officially mentoring was set up. And he took me to a day in a life of his career, which at the time was a camera person at a music video company. So I went there, attended for one day and was completely just blown away. I really, really wanted to join him in his industry. So quit my job, quit my career and worked for free for a few months, just trying to get exposure in the industry that was then really about outside broadcasting and music videos and all of the fun rock and roll life that happens around that. But I still wasn't able to tap into that side of me that was a bit more logical, but had sort of a complementary creative side. So I then worked within that industry for a few months and happened to be picked up by a graphical design studio. And that's when everything kind of clicked, when I started seeing about the motion graphics and learning about After Effects and how people were using various software applications to create these post-filmed magical visual aids. And I thought this is the industry that I wanted to be in, and just continued to graft, really, just worked away, enjoyed the time. Again, it was still music related, so a lot of EPKs, which are electronic press kits, and helping to zhuzh them up a bit. And then happened to get call from the moving picture company, excuse me, the moving picture company, and got called in, had no idea what they did within post-production. I had a fairly vague idea from being in this graphic studio on how it was all coming together, but I really didn't get the concept of visual effects or what it meant. And so I went in for my interview and got the job and thought, this should be fun. Got told I could be working on Harry Potter, hadn't heard of it, thought it would be cool, and then just entered into the industry. That was like my first step into the industry. And I can say to this day that it was one of the best choices that I made, not just because of the content, but because of the individuals that work in the industry. There is a lot of wizardry and magic, Harry Potter. It was like being in a Harry Potter set. There were people that were using fluid dynamics, which spoke a lot to my background in physics and knowing about fluid dynamics, which I did as part of my master's dissertation. And then there were people who were doing fur, and there were people making fire come out of nowhere, and then there were people compiling it all together. So it was a whirlwind experience, and it was also a chance to get to know people that really do sit in a kind of arc that is a bit more art meets tech, which is certainly the area that I really, really thrive in. and then just continued to work, took step after step, went to the Mill and worked with the TV and film company there, and the team that were then looking after Doctor Who. So got an experience and exposure to something quite special to the British audience, and then worked with a team and got my head around episodic, and then just continued to build from there, from films, and then looking at some commercials, a bit of interactive, went out to New York as well and got some time experiencing the culture and the scene within immersive meets technical meets artisan. So really started to learn about the interplay between art, tech, computers, and how the future of storytelling was really beginning to bloom, and then came back here and continued to work and ended up now at Dupe VFX, where I am mixing all of these passions with an ambition to make things more socially, sustainably, and societally sustainable. So that's me. My younger self, gosh, this is a hard one. I would say I really enjoyed myself. I really didn't stop myself from play. So that's one thing I don't regret. I would maybe say that embrace the uncertainty. There were a lot of times where I questioned what I was doing and whether or not it was a good decision. And now when I look back, I figured when you're younger, you have nothing to lose. And I think a lot of it is tactics meets strategy meets luck. So that's what I would say to myself. I would say, go for it, don't worry too hard, and really enjoy the moment, have fun, but really like take stock of the fun that you're having. Oh, so many things in and out of the industry. I think it's really important as individuals that we reap and glean and take inspiration from everything that's around us. We're now in a climate where we can't really move about that much. And I think it's important for us to build that muscle of inspiration that isn't so classical, this type of thing where you speak to your friends and they show you things, or the type of things that you look at that you feel comfortable in. I think now is a brilliant time to be a little uncomfortable, explore industries, because everything is starting to really sort of combine and converge. I would say inspiration comes to me in various forms. I couldn't really pick one thing. I think that it's undersold, the industry where art meets tech. I don't want to define it as visual effects or XR, which is kind of the space I am in. But I think what we need to encourage out of ourselves, no matter what age you're in, and of course, use it carefully and don't be reckless, but to start redefining what you believe in terms of what makes you tick, and to look at the industry that we're in. Yes, we're serving to tell stories for individuals and realize their greatest visions, but within that, in the back, there are people who are using a lot of scientific techniques. There are people that are researching a lot of information around the theory and the ethics. There are people that are really pushing to take the envelope beyond what we believe is possible. And I think a lot of that ripples across into other industries, and is also like a great tool for anyone in any part of their career journey. If you're looking to come into the industry, I think it's a perfect space, because it does so many things and it touches so many areas that, you know, if you're invested and you're ambitious and, you know, with a bit of luck, I think you can go really far.